Thursday edition of the show. Feels like a Friday for me, though. The Cash In, coming to you coast to coast on SportsMap Radio from Maine to Hawaii. Aloha to our friends listening in Honolulu. Afternoon drive for you. Great to be with you. I am Jason Page. Thank you so much. Flanked by producer, engineer extraordinaire, the CC, Charles Carter, hanging out with us tonight. Who said something terrible to me as we were getting ready to start the show tonight. I said, you come to wish me bon voyage, because tomorrow, after the show tonight, we will be off until August 8th. I know. Dry your eyes. The thing is, yep. It's true. I'm leaving, going on a cruise Saturday to Alaska. I won it I won a cruise. This is a true story. Won a cruise at a casino across the street from where I live here in Palm Springs, California. So we're going on a cruise Saturday, but it leaves from Seattle, Washington, and it goes up to Alaska and comes back. 7-day cruise. But we've decided we're going to drive from Palm Springs, California to Seattle, Washington, rather than fly. One, it's cheaper. Two, I love driving. And our best friend up in Seattle, our friend Derek, has offered to watch our dog. He loves our dog. So we're going to take the dog on a road trip, and we're going to drive to Seattle. 18 hours. So as I was starting the show tonight, getting ready to start the show, I said to producer Charles Carter, hey, we're leaving on a plane to, we're going to get on the car and leave tonight. He said, come to wish me bon voyage. He said, no, actually, I was hoping something went wrong with your ship and you'd have to be here tomorrow. Now, what kind of terrible thing is that to say? Wishing ill on my trip. Because you don't want to be by yourself tomorrow night. Nobody wants to be lonely, Ricky Martin once said. So, I got to tell you, man, this is why we love the NFL season. We haven't even had a stupid game yet. We ain't even had a scrimmage yet. We ain't even had veterans on the field. Full roster in camp for the Broncos yet. And we already got some news. Thank you, Sean Payton. Isn't it amazing? Isn't it amazing? You often hear of players, general managers, coaches talk about trying to avoid distraction, right? Got to avoid distractions. Got to avoid distractions. Can't do anything that's going to take away from what we're trying to do in terms of win a championship and all this stuff. And Sean Payton didn't even wait until the first preseason game to go all in on Nathaniel Hackett, the former head coach of the Broncos, who, let's be honest, was clearly overmatched for the position, clearly wasn't ready to be a head coach in this league, failed miserably in Denver last year. But the failure's not just on him, it's on everybody. It's on the GM that put the team together. It's on Russell Wilson. It's on everybody's shoulders. But what did Sean Payton say? Why is everybody all fired up about Sean Payton? So Sean Payton, in an interview with USA Today that was posted on Thursday, Sean Payton called the work Nathaniel Hackett did with the Broncos last year, quote, one of the worst coaching jobs in the history of the NFL. Hey, don't hold back, Sean. Tell us what you really think. And said there were, quote, 20 dirty hands around quarterback Russell Wilson's career worst season that included just 16 touchdown passes and a league-high 55 sacks. Oh, Payton wasn't done. Summed it up with, quote, everything I heard about last season, we're doing the opposite. He also went after the Jets. where Hackett is now the offensive coordinator, basically the hand-picked offensive coordinator by Aaron Rodgers. It doesn't happen often where an NFL team or organization gets embarrassed, Peyton told USA Today. And that happened here. Part of it was their own fault relative to spending so much time trying to win the offseason, the PR, the pomp and circumstance, marching people around and all this stuff. We're not doing any of that, he says. The Jets did that the Jets did that this year. You watch. Hard Knocks. All of it. I can see it coming. Remember when Dan Snyder put that dream team together? I was at the Giants in 2000. I was a young coach. I thought, how are we going to compete with them? Deion is there now, meaning Deion Sanders. That team won 8 games or whatever. So listen, just put the work in. I'm not going to ignore. Well, all right. So that's what Sean Payton said. But isn't he doing exactly what he's accusing the Broncos of last year of doing? Trying to win the offseason wars, trying to win the PR war. What? I want to know, other than maybe trying to endear yourself to your own players and cast the blame on anything but the guys who were there last year, who failed miserably. Other than that, all Sean Payton did was put pressure on himself, put pressure on Russell Wilson, because if everything was Nathaniel Hackett's fault, well, then, of course, Sean Payton's going to fix it and everything's going to be great. What was the excuse the year before when Russell Wilson struggled? The second half of the Seahawks season in 2021, Russell Wilson was terrible. Does that mean Pete Carroll's a crappy coach too? Why didn't Sean Payton get on Pete Carroll? I mean, apparently it's not Russell Wilson's fault. Nothing is Russell Wilson's fault. So why am I not hearing about Russell Wilson struggles in Seattle in 2021? Watching Russell Wilson run around in practice in shorts with no pads and a helmet on. Watch him run around in OTAs and make plays to guys running around in shorts with loose coverage on them. Watching that version of Russell Wilson, I might get excited too. But what happens when the pocket collapses? What happens if the running game isn't there? What happens when Russell Wilson struggles in the first or second or third game? And we've already gone through the first 4 or 5 games of the Broncos season coming up, the regular season, when it matters. We've already gone through all of that. So what happens if this team starts out 1-3? Boy, Sean Payton has really stepped in it here. Now, in all fairness, a lot of what he said about the Jets is true. But just because it's true doesn't mean you need to say it. Sean Payton doesn't have to say what he said about the Jets. We already know all of that. We all laughed in the offseason when they signed Nathaniel Hackett, knowing it was for Aaron Rodgers. We already knew that the Jets were doing everything they could, putting all their eggs in the Aaron Rodgers basket. And they got him. The best part of all of this, though, the best part of all of this is in 2.5 short months, week 5 of the NFL season, Sean Payton just gave us a big old box with gift wrapping and a big fat bow on it. He gave us Jets, Broncos, week 5 of the NFL season, with Nathaniel Hackett on one side coaching Aaron Rodgers and Sean Payton on the other coaching Russell Wilson. Giddy up, as Kramer used to say on Seinfeld. Giddy up. Because I mean, that's just, he just hand delivered us the gift for week 5 of the NFL season. Now, Robert Saleh is the head coach of the Jets. And look, I mean, they were a joke in their own right last year. And you had Saleh defending Zach Wilson, then throwing him under the bus when Wilson finally, couldn't put it together and struggled all year. And the Jets, it felt like to many, the Jets were a quarterback away from being a contender. Not a Super Bowl contender, but certainly a contender to be a postseason team. If not for the bad play of Zach Wilson last year, you could make the argument that the Jets would be a postseason team. But Robert Saleh's handling of Zach Wilson would certainly lead many to wonder what kind of a head coach he's really going to be. Well, wait until you hear what Robert Saleh said in response to Sean Payton. We'll get to that coming up. I'm Jason Page. We're just getting started. It's the Cash In on a Thursday night on SportsMap Radio. Stay with us. Put that in the podcast plus what I do here with the Robert Saleh stuff.
Staff told them, and they've been with me this whole time, throwing in the offseason. They gave Shanahan the green light to, hey, he's good enough to do it, and they've seen me throw. So we've all been on the same page the whole time. But, yeah, I feel good enough to play.
Obviously, we're doing something right if you got to talk about us when we don't play you till week 4. And I'm good with it, but the guys in our locker room, they've earned everything that's coming to them. And really excited about what's going on. I think Hackett's doing a phenomenal job here. The coaching staff is doing a phenomenal job, and we're focused on us. I get it. There's a lot of external noise. There's a lot of people who are hating on us. There's a lot of people looking for us to fail. There's a lot of crows pecking at our neck. But all you can do is spread your wings, keep flying high until those crows fall off and suffocate from the inability to breathe. It's a whole other analogy I'll get into later. But really But all you can do is spread your wings, keep flying high until those crows fall off and suffocate from the inability to breathe. It's a whole other analogy I'll get into later. But really, really, really excited about the group we have, the coaching that's going on, and but I'm going to keep our focus on us and making sure that we're prepared every single day to do the best we can and learn from our past and grow with every moment that we have.
Listen, you get a pass. You get a pass in your first year as a head coach, especially in New York, unless it goes really bad like it did for Sean Payton last year, for Nathaniel Hackett, rather, in Denver. Not Sean Payton. He was sitting at NBC in a suit wearing makeup. Unless it goes catastrophically bad, you usually, or you're coaching the Houston Texans, which were, have been a dumpster fire for a while now. You get another year or two. It's got to go really bad for you not to. And the Jets, let's face it, with a couple of games left in the season, they were still in the hunt for the playoffs. So you're going to give Robert Saleh another chance. You're going to give him an opportunity to learn from his year one mistakes. But now the excuses are done. And this is as crazy as it sounds, it's a make or break year because you don't know how many years you're going to get with Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, he just reworked his deal and said, he didn't view this as a one and done thing, but at the same time, he threw in the caveat. One, it depends how I feel health-wise. Two, it depends on the success of the team. And if Aaron Rodgers wants to come back next year, and the only way Aaron Rodgers is coming back next year is with a different head coach, I got news for you, Robert Saleh, bye-bye. And if it goes bad this year, that obviously could happen. So, Robert Saleh could get up there and say what he wants and talk about crows not getting enough air and falling out of the sky and all this stuff, nipping at your neck. And all that stuff is great. It's coach speak. The media goes, ha, ha, ha. He's funny. He's not that funny. You get the sycophantic suck-ups in the media who just want to laugh at everything he says because they want to endear themselves to him. Ha, ha, ha. Week 5, the beauty of all of this, I will continue to say it. The beauty of all of this is week 5, we get to sort it out on the field. That'll be a fun handshake at the end of the game, won't it? I wonder if there'll be one. I want to see, as interested as I am in that game, and don't get me wrong, we'll have tons of fun with it. As much fun as it'll be to get into that game, it's going to be a lot of fun to see that post-game handshake, huh? Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Watching two middle-aged men in a lot of cases. What was that awkward handshake at midfield? Was it Jim Harbaugh years ago? He had an awkward handshake NFL game. Gosh, might have been with the coach, Jim Schwartz. Might have been Schwartz, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was Jim Harbaugh. It was Jim Harbaugh and I believe Jim Schwartz. I was right. It was Jim Harbaugh and Jim Schwartz. Had that awkward handshake when Harbaugh was with the Niners. And Schwartz was coaching the Lions. I just want to see some beef at the end of the game. Players jumping in, get them off each other. Sean Payton's asking for it. Listen, as much fun as we have at the Jets' expense, and we've had a lot of fun at the Jets' expense for many years because, let's be honest, they're the Jets, and they make it easy. This one is all on Sean Payton. Why? Here's the thing. You never punch down. You never punch down. There are so many. Oh, my God. Do you know how badly I have to bite my tongue sometimes with things I hear on this network, things I hear on other networks? Do you know how badly I have to bite my tongue It's practically got a hole in it from all the times I've had to bite my tongue, from some of the garbage that I've heard on other talk shows. Gotta bite my tongue because it just sounds so dumb and unprepared and all of that. But why? There's a very simple reason as to why I don't say it or call out people by name. And it's simple. I'm not going to punch down. Now, you might hear me go after Pat McAfee. That's punching up. That's punching up to a different league. Because whether I like him or not, Pat McAfee is a raging success. Punch up at Stephen A. Smith. Yeah, Stephen A. Smith is a raging success, whether I like him or not. I'm not going to punch down. Why? What do I gain out of that? Then I'm bringing them up to my league. I'm not going to do that. I made that mistake once on this network. I'll never make it again. Of punching down. Not going to do it. Sean Payton's punching down. He's a Super Bowl champion head coach. Probably a Hall of Fame head coach someday. We got to take shots at the Jets for. I use this phrase all the time. It's like clubbing baby seals. Now, maybe this is the year. Maybe this is the year the Jets finally turn it around. With Broadway Aaron. Yeah, I always like to know something. Yeah, that's. I think it's a lot insane. It's a lot insane. It's just daring people. It's giving false hope. The Jets might not even be the best team in their own division. Does Buffalo have better odds than the Jets? Exactly. Well, Buffalo last year took a step backwards. There was some regression there. But I'd look out for Buffalo. I think they're going to be as determined as anybody. Because a lot of people think the shine is off of that Josh Allen-led team. All right, let's do some baseball. Barry Bloom, Sportico, and multiple other sites will join us on the other side. We'll talk some baseball, trade deadline, and more. It's The Cash In with me, Jason Page, on SportsMap Radio. That thing you added at the end of the segment, by the way, was perfect. Hanging out with Robert Littall of Black Sports Online. That's does excellent. A great job. He's in Las Vegas. Little, but quick. Gave me something to work off of. That's the kind of shit I'm looking for, dude. Little stuff like that. No, remember that. Seriously. It was excellent. Yep. Something where you get in and out. It's quick. It didn't derail the end of the segment. Love it. Oh, yeah. Without question. But I do think they're going to be good. I do. Quarterback stuff is a big question mark, though. I kind of understand. Yeah, it's always tough to back it up the second time, though, too. You know? Yeah, and I love Evan Ingram, too. I'm a big Evan Ingram fan. All right, hold on. I got to call this guy. Barry Bloom, baseball. Thanks for riding shotgun with me tonight. SportsMap Radio, SportsMap Radio app, all of our video platforms where you can see us as well. If you look on the screen on the left-hand side, you'll see the name and picture of Barry Bloom, who joins us now. MLB writer, Sportico, Forbes, Bloomberg, you name it. He's done them all. Does a terrific job. He's a Hall of Fame voter as well. Joins us on the cash-in tonight on SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app on the eve of the Major League Baseball trade deadline. On a scale of 1 to 10, Barry, how surprised were you by the Angels' decision to hang on to Ohtani?
Not very surprised at all. I mean, I wrote a piece about this at the All-Star game a couple of weeks ago. I said that he was not going to be traded. I mean, there's no purpose in trading him. I mean, they stand to make too much money on him the rest of the year, whether or not they make the playoffs, and they still have a chance of making the playoffs. But in September, if he's going after Judge's home run record, the Angels were drawing 32,000 people a game at the time in a 41,000 seat ballpark. If they sell out every day while Ohtani's going for that record, like Judge did last year at Yankee Stadium at the end of September, that it was $40 million the Yankees made on 8 home games last September. After the race was over, they were done. The teams they were playing were Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and the Red Sox, who were all pretty much out of it. But still 40,000 people came to see Judge with all the accompanying jersey sales, concession sales, you name it. So there's no purpose in trading Ohtani. I mean, you might as well, for the handful of top prospects you might get, you might as well just take the draft pick if he actually does leave the team.
Where else do you expect them to go here before the trade deadline? I love the move for Giolito. He's a guy that's on the West Coast. I think they have a chance to probably re-sign him, considering he is a California kid and not far from where he grew up. I've had him on the show before. He would love to play someday with Jack Flaherty if he could. Give me some idea as to where else they go to try to improve this team now that they're all in on trying to make the postseason this year.
I think obviously it's the same thing as almost everybody else. More bullpen. They could use a bat. They got somebody to replace Rendon at third base already. I think at this point it's just substantiating and seeing what you can do to make the wild card. And then, like last year, when the Phillies and the Padres came in to the wild card and they were god awful, they wound up getting on a hot streak. Padres beat the Mets, Phillies beat the Cardinals, then the Braves, then the Padres beat the Dodgers. You just can move on. There's no real sense to how the playoffs will fall out at this point. So, just whatever they can do to make the playoffs. Plus, remember, in September, they're going to have Trout back, too. So, just that addition is going to make a big deal for them.
Yeah, it certainly is. Before we started the conversation, you said you're in San Diego, and Juan Soto may not be there much longer. It sounds like the Padres are willing to listen to offers on him. How seriously do you think they are considering, making a move here?
Yeah, well, I'm actually here for my old friend John Moores is being inducted into the Padre Hall of Fame tomorrow night with Jake Peavy. John was the owner here who really was responsible for building Petco Park. I think the Padres have got themselves into a dilemma basically because of their television contract. They lost the $60 million a year television contract when Valley pulled out, so to speak. And then, now they really can't afford these guys, a lot of these guys anymore. They're in it for long term with Tatis and Machado and Musgrove and Darvish, Cronenworth. You can go down the list. Soto is 1 year arbitration eligible. It'll be upwards of $35 million next year if they keep him. They can't afford that. Cater and Snell are going to be free agents. I don't believe they're going to sign either of those two guys. So I think those three guys all get traded by the by the deadline, just because they've got to make some dent on what they're doing with their budget at this point.
The Mets. Similar situation, huge payroll. We've never seen teams with these massive payrolls that basically were locks to not make the postseason. Usually they all at least get there some way or another. Now you're seeing it with the Mets as well. Other than Verlander, of the guys that, are on this roster, maybe an Alonso, is there anybody that isn't possibly traded from the Mets?
There's a big difference between the Padres and the Mets. Peter Seidler is a nice little billionaire at $3 billion. His number two guy, Helu, is a Mexican owner of the Rojos, who sunk a lot of money into that team and is getting equity in return. He's worth $2.5 million. Steve Cohn's worth $15 billion. He can do whatever the hell he wants. So, and the situation is that he doesn't have to get rid of anybody. A month ago, about a week before the All-Star break, maybe a little later, sooner than that, he held a press conference and he said it cost him a lot of money to get this pitching staff together because when they looked at the organization, he was shocked at the fact that the minor league system was so bereft of pitching.
Yeah, it's depleted.
Right. So that cost him a lot of money, and I don't think he's going to divest himself of any of that pitching. When you look at the staff they've got, when they're all healthy, you've got Scherzer, you've got Verlander, you've got Peterson, you've got Senga, who I think is a terrific pitcher from what I've seen of him. They've got five guys, and really this all started to roll this year for them. When they lost, their closer during the World Baseball Classic in the celebration. Look at where, if you turn the Padres around, what we were talking about earlier, the Mets, this started September 1st of last year, this downturn. They were leading Atlanta by 9 or 10 games. They wound up losing the division. Then they went in at home against the Padres and lost the 3-game series at home. And then Diaz got hurt in the World Baseball Classic, and Alonso got hit in the hand, and they've never been the same, really. I don't see them parting with much of anybody. They already have traded Escobar to the Angels. I think that, they hold serve and just say, this year was a complete anomaly. We invested in this. We invested $350 million. we're not going to buy, certainly not going to buy, and we're not going to sell either. So I really don't expect the Mets to do anything.
Are Buck and Epler at risk, you think?
Oh, yeah, sure. I mean, of course, Buck and Epler, even though Cohn said they weren't. I mean, really, when you're putting together an organization and you rely on two people to do your baseball ops, I mean, number one, Cohn said he was hiring a president of baseball operations over Epler. He has to figure out who that person will be yet. There's been some speculation about it. Probably that's all wrong. But he said Epler knows that there's going to be a layer above him at some point. Whether Epler then goes by the wayside under new structured baseball operations, I would think that's probably going to happen. And Buck, look, I love Buck personally, but he has had a history of this, not getting teams over the top. The Yankees got rid of him, and Torrey took them to the World Championship. Diamondbacks got rid of him, and Brenly took him to the World Championship. He wound up in Baltimore, doing nothing in Texas. Baltimore was a competitive team until him and Dan Duquette started warring with each other. By the end of their time together, they didn't even talk to each other. And then when this whole thing was set up, I'm looking at, okay, you've got Cohn, you still have Alderson, you have Epler, you have their baseball ops, and Buck is coming back, and he's a micromanager.
Yep.
He micromanages everything. And so it's like, I thought, how long is this going to last before it's going to blow up in their face?
Yeah.
And, he's just not a finisher, and it goes back to the playoffs last year. The day that Buck likes to distract and do what he does, and the press conference before Game 3.
Yeah,
at City Field.
Hey Barry,
he stands up.
I got a run because we're up against a hard break, but I want to thank you for coming on. Let's do it again soon. All right.
All right. Thanks for having me on.
Thanks. No, he's not. That's why I had to cut it. I probably should have ended it at 39. It's kind of my own fault. Thanks for being with us on this Thursday edition of the show. It feels like a Friday, though. One, it's our last show of the week. And two, we're talking NASCAR, which we normally do on Friday with our friend Jerry Bonkowski, who joins us on the show tonight. Does a terrific job with all things auto racing for NASCAR.com, Auto Week, and AutoRacingDigest.com. And Jerry Bonkowski is here with us. So we've got just look, time's running out here. We keep talking every week on this show. I ask the same question about whether or not Chase Elliott's going to make the postseason here, and it doesn't look like it right now.
I'm starting to worry. I mean, I've been a pretty optimistic guy about this.
You have.
This is Chase Elliott we're talking about, and I'm starting to have my doubts about this. And if he doesn't make it, yes, it'll be bad for NASCAR. But remember this, too. What was it, 2012, if I remember correctly? Tony Stewart had just won the championship in 2011, if I remember this correctly. And he failed to make the playoffs in 2012. And same thing with Jeff Gordon in, I want to say it was 2014, I think it was. I think he made the playoffs in 13, and he failed to make the playoffs in 14. So while it's a rarity, it has been done. It has happened where, named drivers have not made the playoffs when you would think for sure they would. So Chase still has a couple more weeks left. Richmond this weekend is a pretty darn good place for him. I'm not going to give up on him, but I'm starting to look at other candidates too as well,
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Talk about last week's race, just to kind of put a bow on it and what we saw from Denny Hamlin.
Well, it was a very controversial finish, obviously, the way he pushed Kyle Larson out of the way. And, there was so much criticism about that, but let's face it, this is the same thing that Dale Earnhardt Sr. used to do all the time.
He did this forever.
Yeah, exactly. So, we're in there with a different kind of group of fans these days who maybe were not around or weren't fans back in the day when Earnhardt was. So, a lot of the old-time fans, they would think this is business as usual. The new fans, they're going to kind of, whine and cry and that kind of thing. So, it is what it is. Hamlin wins his 50th career win. You got to give him a lot of credit. He's one of the better drivers we've ever seen in this sport. And, I wouldn't be surprised if everything goes his way, maybe, just maybe, finally, after, what's it been, 15 years or whatever it's been, Denny Hamlin will finally get that elusive championship that he's been chasing for so long and still has not gotten.
Can you put a finger, to go back to Chase Elliott for a second? Now, there's been enough racing this season. Obviously, the injury notwithstanding where he missed some time. Can you put your finger on any one thing in particular that sort of held him back this year? Or is it just one of those things where you look at and say it's one of those years?
No, it's not like he's forgotten how to win. It's not how he's forgotten how to pass. It's not like he's forgotten forgotten how to qualify well. It's just, when you miss 6 races in the whole big scheme of things, that's a sixth of your entire season, but it's also just over a fourth of the regular season, the first 26 races. That's a lot of racing to miss. And if you're that far behind the 8 ball, because of those missed races, you've got so much more to try to accomplish in a much shorter period of time. If you have 36 races to accomplish it, okay, you'd have a better chance. You only have 26 races to do it, and if you miss 6, it only leaves you with 20 races, and you're so far behind the 8 ball already with missing those 6 races, especially in the earlier part of the season, that it is just going to be. It's been a very difficult thing for him to try to overcome and achieve. So I really wonder what is going to happen with him. I still, like I said, I'm not going to give up hope on him, but with each passing race, the chances of him making that playoff are just not looking very good. Now, of course, NASCAR, and I would hate to see this happen, but it's not without precedent. NASCAR could say, well, we're going to give him a waiver. We're going to grant him a waiver, because they did it to Kyle Busch in 2015 when he missed 11 races. But of course, he also won a race to get in the playoffs. So that was kind of a redundant thing that he made the playoffs no matter what. I still think that Chase could get a waiver from NASCAR, But if he does, it's going to leave a lot of not only fans, but a lot of fellow drivers and teams very upset, especially if he takes the spot away from another driver, or if they increase the field to 17 drivers in the playoffs rather than 16.
Yeah, and I mean, when it's something is, when you talk about potentially giving them this waiver, it's sort of subjective, isn't it? It's not like it's not like there's a hard and fast criteria, which means, when you get a bunch of people in a room deciding something, it's almost like when we get into college football and there's a bunch of people in a room deciding, who's 1, who's 2, who's 3 in the college football, bowl playoff standings or something like that. There's always going to be people that are upset. Who are the voices in that room, and does it give you an inclination one way or the other as to whether or not they would grant him that waiver?
Well, here's the thing, the way I look at it, Jason. I mean, this is Chase Elliott, former champion, most popular driver going right now in NASCAR. I see the logic to make him, to grant him a waiver, because he means so much to the sport. A lot of fans want to see him in the in the playoffs there. But on the flip side, what happens if he wins the championship this year?
Ugh.
And he wins it. He wins it without even winning a race. Period. Now think about that for a minute too. So, if I'm NASCAR and I'm going to meet and decide whether or not we're going to grant him a waiver, there's a lot to be considered here, because yes, it's good for NASCAR to have, the one of the biggest stars they have in the playoffs. Yes, it's good to see him potentially have a chance at winning a championship, but are you opening up the door for more problems by granting him that waiver, and then he turns around and wins everything like Kyle Busch did in 2015? And remember, when Busch won that championship, there was a lot of criticism about that with him, with him winning the championship. So we could very easily see a lot of the similar thing happening with the Chase Elliott. But I think that, again, the best way for him to overcome this entire thing, win a race, we're done. He's in. Good. Let's go. Let's move on.
He's a 14-1 long shot in the latest odds for Richmond, and it's stunning to see him there.
Well, yeah, but he's a short track guy. He is. I mean, if there is a place for him to win, this is the place.
You said that the last couple of years.
I know. I get that. I get that. I have said that. I'm totally going to admit it. But this is Richmond's a 3/4 mile racetrack. He's done very well there in the past. This is kind of the track that he grew up on, kind of track his father kind of grew up on. So I am not going to be surprised to see him win. But he's got to do something to get from point A to point Z without failing wanting to finish up 10th or 15th or 20th. He's got to go essentially all out to win this thing, and maybe that's been the secret why he's not won up now. Maybe he has not gone all out. Maybe there's been something mentally that's kept him behind. I don't know. I'm just I'm trying to speculate here, but again, this is Chase Elliott. I think he can win at Richmond, and hopefully he will. So we won't have to talk about this anymore, So
before I ask you for a winner, Martin Truex Jr. is the favorite in the outright betting right now at 4-1. What makes him such a popular pick at this track?
Again, he does very well at short track. But I'll tell you, the guy that I'm kind of looking for, and you guys are going to probably hate me when I say this name because I normally don't pick him, but I'm going to pick him for this one because he's done so well at Richmond in the past, and he's from that area, is Denny Hamlin. I think Hamlin's the guy that's the man to beat this one. But again, if Chase Elliott can get there, if Martin Truex Jr. can get there, you got Kyle Larson's a good short track driver. So, the typical powers that be, if you will, the guys that do very well at short track are probably going to do very well in this race. But I still think that Denny Hamlin, he's done very well over the years at Richmond. It's his home track. He's got all the fans and friends and family coming out. So I just think that, if anybody else is going to beat Denny Hamlin, they're going to have their work cut out for them. I mean, if Truex could do well, Larson can do well, Elliott can do well, but I think this is Denny Hamlin's race to win, or in some cases to lose.
Larson is 6-1, Hamlin 6-1, Christopher Bell 7-1, William Byron 8-1, and then Harvick at 9-1. Jerry Bonkowski, check out his work. It is everywhere. You can't miss it. NASCAR.com, Auto Week, AutoRacingDigest.com. Jerry, enjoy the racing this week. I won't talk to you next week. I'll be on a cruise ship somewhere in the Pacific. I'll talk to you the week after. Be well, my friend.
Sounds good. Have a great vacation. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, sir. Jerry Bonkowski, our good friend, stopping by the show. That's hour number 1. Just like that. But the good news is we've got 2 more hours left to play with. Is Chase Elliott actually going to be left out of the playoffs? It's hard to believe. Hour number 2, the cash-in right around the corner. Stay with us. Thanks, Jerry. Appreciate it, my friend.
All right, man. Hey, have a good trip and the cruise, and don't go overboard. Some people have been dropping overboard lately, so don't do that, okay?
That will not be me. Thank you, my friend. I'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
I'll see you when you get back in.
All right.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Be right back. Hi, Jason. Quick update. Team is looking to have a meeting week of 8/7 with you to set up and review your commissioner page. Looking forward to this. Maybe the blue one and those. Another hour of the show starts right now on SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. Thank you for being a part of it. Boy, that first hour flew by, didn't it? Flanked by producer, engineer extraordinaire Charles Carter. I am Jason Page. It's good to have you all with us tonight. Can you believe it right now? There's no baseball going on right now. Nothing. Washington and the Mets is the only game going on, and it's in a lightning delay at Citi Field with the score tied at 1. I don't even know what inning it's in. Let's see. What inning are they in there? 1-1 in the bottom of the 8th. The Mets have the bases loaded with 1 out. Wouldn't that just be like the Mets? Oh, they're about to score, about to win. Interesting to hear what Barry Bloom said in the first hour from Sportico, Forbes, Bloomberg. He's a longtime MLB writer. He's a Hall of Fame voter. He's not necessarily convinced that the Mets are going to go and trade everybody here at the deadline. Whereas the Padres might, because their owner doesn't have Steve Cohen type money. There seems to be the belief, at least by Barry, that the Mets might just say, you know what? We'll just circle the wagons. We'll come back next year, maybe with a different manager, maybe with a different GM, maybe with a team president. The one thing I'm hung up on when it comes to the Mets potentially making a deal, though, is this. Steve Cohen is not happy about not just the arms they have on the farm, but the talent in general that the Mets have on the farm. Go look at the top 100 MLB prospects from MLB.com. How many of them are Mets? Let's see. We'll run through. I could scan the list right now. None in the top 10. None in the top 20. None in the top 30. None in the top 40. No, I'm sorry, 39. You've got one at 39. And it's a catcher. Yeah, and it's a catcher that's in A ball, which means you're talking 2025 at the earliest. They got one at 39, one at 56 in Ronnie Mauricio. And the thinking was Mauricio, there was talk he could be with the team this year. That hasn't happened. He's 22. He's 56th on the list. They got one at 81, who's not projected to be up until 2026. I mean, there's nothing imminent. Meanwhile, go look at the Orioles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I mean, 8 of the top 100 prospects in Major League Baseball's list are Baltimore Orioles. And the number 1 overall prospect is a Baltimore Oriole. Jackson Holliday, the son of Matt Holliday. And what's Jackson Holliday done this year? Oh, he's just hitting .334. He started the year at A ball, where he hit .396 in just 53 at-bats. Then he went to A plus ball, hit .314. Then they put him at Double A. He's hitting .357. The kid's a stud. There's no getting around it. And I'm telling you, the Orioles have an embarrassment of riches. And the problem the Orioles are going to have is they're going to have too many prospects. I know you think you can never have too many. People get hurt, blah, blah, blah. But we were talking about this on the show. Gosh, was it last night? I can't remember. All the days blend together. The problem they're going to have is they're not going to have anywhere to put these guys. You can make the argument right now, Heston Kjerstad, who's an older prospect because he had a number of physical ailments that limited him. I think he had a heart issue briefly. Speaking of hearts, we'll talk about Bronny James in this hour of the show. Some good news on that front. But Heston Kjerstad is at AAA right now, and he's killing it. And they've got nowhere to put him because he's an outfielder. And go look at that team right now. They got nowhere to put him. He's hitting .343 at AAA. 6 home runs, 18 RBIs. The guy doesn't strike out. He's had 320 at bats this year. He struck out 60 times. Go find that in baseball today. I mean, that's a low number by baseball standards these days. It's once every 5, once every 6 at bats. Hit 310 at AA, 343 at AAA. Doesn't matter what level they put him at. He just rakes. And they have nowhere to put him. He's just, stuck in. He's an outfielder who's got nowhere to go. So here's the question then. Do the Orioles trade prospects at the deadline to try and make this make a special season, a World Series season? We talked about that. It was last night we were talking about it on the show with all the trade deadline talk. And if it's me, if I'm the Orioles, the answer is yes. I'm not trading Jackson Holiday. I'm not trading away Jackson Holiday. Yeah, you were going to ask. In terms of what guys you're not willing to part with, I think Kjerstad they'd part with. Because go look at their outfield right now. I just don't think they have any room. I just don't think they have any room at the inn. I think that's a big part of the dilemma for them. I mean, Austin Hayes is hitting .295. Santander has had a fantastic season. What's Santander's hitting .259, 17 home runs, 55 RBIs. He's a good outfielder. So you're not getting rid of Santander. Now, I don't know what his contract looks like. If he's a free agent at the end of the season or anything like that, I'm not sure. So we'd have to do a deeper dive than we're talking about here just in passing. But Santander, Hayes in that outfield. They've played a whole bunch of different guys at center. I don't think they project Kjerstad as a center fielder, though. He's more of a corner guy. Ryan McKenna's been there. Cedric Mullins has been there. They've just we talked about this the other day. They had a game the other day where they had 6 or 7 homegrown prospects that were in their starting lineup. I mean, that doesn't happen. That's literally hitting on all your prospects. I mean, that's unheard of, to hit on every single prospect you have. I mean, that's like playing roulette and playing a different number 7 times, and every time you play it, it hits. It doesn't happen. By the way, if that could happen to me on our cruise this weekend, just hit on every number I put it on the roulette table, I may not be coming back on the 8th. Yeah, so they got him for 2 more years. They got him for a couple more years. So they've got that. And look at their payroll. They're 29th in the league in payroll, I think, or 28th. You want to talk about bang for your buck in that organization? All of these guys are under their thumb. They're not going to have to pay anybody for another 3 or 4 years. And when it does come time to pay all of them, they're going to be able to pick and choose because they've got guys behind them in the minors. I mean, it's embarrassing. That organization is set. The Orioles, I'm telling you, as long as they don't manage to, screw up a ham sandwich, as I like to say, as long as they don't screw it up, the Orioles could be, dare I say it, and we don't do hyperbole on this show. There is not an organization set up better for long-term success. Not one is set up better than the Orioles. Because where they're lacking right now is in starting pitching. If you go look at that team's rotation, and it's the reason I wonder about them come the playoffs. If they don't make a move for an arm, and I think that's where they could obviously make a potential move. You've got so many prospects, you can go get arms, and you could go get arms in free agency, and that's a pitcher-friendly ballpark because they made left field, a giant black hole where fly balls go to die. Basically the Glaber-Torres rule, because Glaber was just destroying them a couple of years ago, and everybody was hitting home runs to left, which is, a chip shot. That they decided to go and move the fences back, which the hitters may not like, but I'll tell you what, the pitchers love it. I mean, Tyler Wells has had a nice season. Kyle Bradish has done all right. Dean Kramer. I mean, they got two guys with ERAs of 4.5 plus. Grayson Rodriguez hasn't panned out yet. One of their big prospects. In fact, he's the only prospect that hasn't panned out. Orioles got to make a move for a starter, at least one, if they're going to be a contender. We're coming back. MLB team. Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, it was a good hour. Well, we're through the worst of it. Like the summer, because like the summer with just baseball is brutal. And especially for me where I'm literally by myself. And now with you, it's different, but I only have you, here and there. I got Brian here and there. Without a second voice for those 2 months, it's just, you're just dying. I was trying to find the stats, and I don't know why I can't find it. But for starting pitcher ERA, team starting pitching ERA MLB. And I can't, for the life of me, I cannot find this thing. I was trying to find like what the team ERA starting pitching is. There it is. I think I found it. There we go. For starters. All right. So team pitching, starting pitching ERA. Baltimore is 19th. So that and their bullpen's been phenomenal this year. I mean, I think total ERA they're like 16th. But their team ERA for their starters is 4.52, I believe. And come the postseason, that's not getting it done. That's why I said this earlier in the week, and I'll say it again. If they play the Yankees in a 5-game series, they're going to lose. I promise you. I lock it in. Put the date in the calendar, July 27th, 11:16 p.m. Eastern. Write it down there, Charles Carter. It's a page guarantee. It's a page guarantee. If you wind up with the as currently constituted, mind you, Yankees, Orioles in the postseason, hell, I don't even care if it's a 5-game series or a 7-game series. If the Yankees play the Orioles, they're going to beat them. Because the Yankees starting pitching is vastly superior. And I'm not talking about pitcher number 1 to pitcher number 5. The Yankees are going to be able to throw Garrett Cole, a Carlos Rodon. Clark Schmidt's been really good for him lately. They're going to get back Nestor Cortez. And the Yankee bullpen is pretty damn good too. And I think they've just had the Orioles number for so long that I find it hard to believe that the Yankees would lose a series to the Orioles. I'd like to see it, though. I'm just excited that the Orioles are going to be back in the postseason playing baseball. I really am. Because that fan base has suffered for a long time. They're showing highlights from the rain delay at Citi Field between the Mets and Nationals tonight, and the wind from this lightning storm that came through, it was so bad it almost blew the tarp off the field before they could get stuff to hold it down. But it looks like they're getting ready to play baseball again at Citi Field. Not a lot of fans left, though. That game headed to is in the bottom of the 8th. 1-1 Mets on top of the Nationals with 1 out and the bases loaded in the bottom of that 8th inning. So see if the Mets can finish it off, get a win. I mean, I'd like to sit here and do some live betting with y'all, but the only game going on is this one. And the Mets right now are probably a heavy favorite, if I had to guess. 1-1 in the bottom of the 8th inning. There are no odds there as of late. So we got to talk. We didn't get to talk about, we talked about Ohtani not being traded with Barry Bloom when he joined us in the last hour. What we didn't talk about is what Ohtani did today. I mean, goodness gracious. You got to be, he is a cheat code. He's in God mode right now. He is very simply, he is in God mode right now. Oh, without question, Teddy KGB. Pay that man his money is right. First game of a doubleheader, he throws a complete game, 1-hitter. I think it was his first complete game, if I'm not mistaken. Complete game, 1-hitter. Now, he was 0 for 5. God, I think they should send him to the minors as a hitter. He's just terrible. He's hitting .296 on the year. I'll tell you why that's funny in a second. Game 1, though, Ohtani, 9 innings, 1 hit, 3 walks, 8 strikeouts. And how about this? 111 pitches. They let him go. They cut the cord on that bad boy. And in the start before, he didn't pitch that well against the Pirates. The Pirates roughed him up good. He got the win, but the Pirates roughed him up good. 3.43 ERA. Now on the season for Ohtani, he's 9-5. His pitching numbers for the year are 9-5, 3.43 ERA, 120.2 innings, 156 strikeouts. Wow. Whoa. Just fantastic. For his career now, by the way, Ohtani is 37-19, a 3.08 ERA, 470 innings. In 470 innings, he struck out 597 batters. No, he's not. He's not. Yeah, he's one of the aliens that landed here. It could be. Could be. Teams, for his career, by the way, his batting average against is 201. And you just, if you get to him, you're getting him on a bad day. But teams are hitting 201 against him. So that was game 1 of a doubleheader. And game 2 of the doubleheader, well, let's just say Ohtani was pretty good in that game too.
There were some clapping for Shohei, who goes to the opposite field. Get going, yeah! His major league leading 37th.
Simply unreal. Exit velocity of 107.6. And remember, he threw a shutout in game 1 of this doubleheader. And then he hits an opposite field rocket out. And the cheers here at Comerica Park for Shohei Ohtani.
Oh, he wasn't done, though.
Oh, he got another one. Get going. Ohtani has done it again. Santa Maria. Complete game shutout. Check. 2 homers in the nightcap.
That was a rocket out. Incredible Shohei. I can't believe this. 2 home runs back-to-back. Unbelievable. That man threw a 1-hit shutout in game 1.
What?
Back-to-back home runs.
116.9 miles per hour off the bat. I mean, come on, man. You're not supposed to do that. You're not supposed to do that. Just ridiculous. That's what he is right now, though. He's just ridiculous. Now, you could start talking. You could start dreaming when you're at 37 home runs, and we're not even at August yet. You could start talking about 62. You could start dreaming about the idea of him potentially getting to 62 home runs. Right now, he's at 37 with, let's see, how many games left? They've got 59 games left. Not even, no, 53 and 49, that's 102. They got 60 games left. 60 games for him to hit another 25 home runs to tie 26 to take the lead. You know he's going to play every day. It's not out of the realm of possibility that he can break Judge's American League record just 12 months later. Yes, Charles. Mm-hmm. To be two-way players, I think he's an anomaly. I do. I think, yeah. Look, now maybe in the collegiate ranks and things like that, maybe there are guys coming up that can be both hitters and pitchers and things like that. Nothing that I know of, but I find it hard to believe that we're going to ever see anything like this again. I mean, think about how long it was. Think about how long it's been since since Babe Ruth. Yeah, I don't think so, though. It just... You got to be really good at both in order... Because you can't just be good. You can't just be mediocre at both. There was a guy that played for the Rays. God, I can't think of his name. He was a two-way player about 3 years ago. Couldn't stay healthy. That's the other thing, is staying healthy. I mean, Shohei has stayed healthy over these first 4 years in the league, which is amazing. Being a DH helps a lot, too. We do have to throw that in. We're coming back. He's going to get paid $700 million, I'm convinced. Especially if the Angels want to keep him, they may have to pay him $700 million because the Dodgers are going to drive up the price. Why they did what? I understand the argument. I just think the problem is if he winds up leaving in free agency, you can talk all you want. No, it's not. I wouldn't say it's a guarantee. If they make the playoffs and it's an exciting postseason run, I could see him staying. Oh, I agree. But you have to take a chance on trying to keep arguably the greatest player of the last 50 years. I mean, he really might be the best player of the last 50 years. And you might. But as long as, the old thing from Dumb and Dumber, so you're saying there's a chance. If you've got a chance, again, remind you, you're talking to somebody who thought they should have traded him. But I can understand that there is another side to it. I don't think it's cut and dry. I mean, I made the argument that you could have traded him and then tried to get him back in the offseason. But a lot of people think that if you do that, there'd be too much water under the bridge. Yeah, could. No, I mean, but it is a rumor until it happens because you're technically not allowed to talk to him. I don't know. No, but you can't. I mean, look, I don't think it's a lock. I don't think it's a lock that he leaves. I don't think it's a lock, but especially if they make a deep postseason run. And, look, the move for Giolito, it's a good move. It's a really good move. halfway home on this Thursday edition of the show. Our final show until August 8th. I will be on vacation starting an hour and a half from now. Back on Tuesday, August 8th for another edition of The Cash In here on SportsMap Radio. We're almost near the end of our first year of this show. Can you believe that? It's crazy. September will be a year since we began this little experiment called The Cash In here on SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app. Our video platforms as well. And year two's shaping up to be an exciting one. We got some great things planned for you. I can't wait to tell you about them as we get closer to the start of football season. Solidifying things at the producer position. You know, it's like having an everyday catcher as opposed to a permanent platoon. Solidifying things there. Might hear some new voices on the show on a regular basis. You gotta stay tuned. A lot of good stuff. But we'll be off an hour and a half from now. I will be off, and we'll be back on August 8th. I will be on a cruise ship when trade deadline hits, and I'll be screaming. I'll be that crazy man muttering to himself on the Lido deck, saying, "What? They traded who?" As I hit, putts or shoot past. There are so many sports that. Have you ever been on a cruise, Charles? Yeah. I mean, you're still pretty young, but do it. It's fun. I've done like 2, 3, 4. I don't even know if I've done 4. I've done 2 and 3 day cruises. I've never done a destination cruise where you actually go somewhere and like stop at different ports. I've never done that. Yeah, they take it out into like the ocean. We always did them out of New York. And we'd get on a cruise ship. My godfather and I, bless his heart, my Uncle Eddie, who was my godfather, used to take me on these cruises when I was a young person and a teenager. And he always took me all the cool places. He was that uncle. And he used to take me everywhere. One of the most influential people in my entire life. I mean, really meant the world to me. And he took me on these cruises, and they would just go out and drop anchor in the middle of the Atlantic, and you'd walk around and do this and that. It was fun, nice. Ate good food, that sort of thing. But these, like, I'm going on a Royal Princess cruise. And my God, I mean, it's endless food. Like, we upgraded and got the food package so you don't pay for your food and drinks, that sort of thing. So, I mean, but it's stupid. I went and looked. There's so many different restaurants and so much food. And you can eat as much as you want. They just keep bringing it. The package we paid for even includes, like, the tipping. So we don't even have to tip. We just eat and drink. We got the booze package, and I don't even drink booze. Yes. Yes, but I paid for a package once you get the cruise, which we got for free. Then they have a bunch of add-ons that you can get. One of the add-ons is you pay us, and then we will disperse it as tips to the service for the servers and all that. Now, if you want it now, if you want to tip extra on top of the fact that you're already paying for gratuity for these people, the little people. I sound so uppity when I say that. These people. Yeah, I know. I've done it. I've been there. If you want to tip on top of it, you could. Like, if you want a certain table and it's not available, maybe you slip a 20 to the host and say, "Hey, I want that table." Make it happen. Slip them a 20, or in my case, a 5. Do you take out a handful of change like Chevy Chase in Vegas Vacation and drop it in their hand? Sir, no gratuity is required. to drop a bunch of change in their hand. You take pennies. But in going through today, again, I've never done one of these cruises. And what's sticking out to me as I go through there's a schedule on the cruise. There is something happening literally from like 7 o'clock in the morning to midnight. Everywhere all over the ship, like every 10 or 20 minutes. Game shows, trivia shows, basketball shooting contests, miniature golf putting, pickleball, shuffleboard, you name it. It's happening on this ship. Where I might get into some trouble, though, you played Teddy KGB before. There's some poker on the ship. There's no limit Texas Hold'em. And there's poker tournaments on the ship. And I don't say this to be braggadocious or, I'm an accomplished poker player. I could literally, if you told me there was poker on this ship and I wasn't married, I'd just play poker all day. I could do it. Now, my husband wouldn't allow for that because he's going to want to spend some time and walk around and eat and do all these things. But I could just play poker all day. I'd be all right with it. Mets win, by the way, 2-1 the final. They got another run in the bottom of the 8th, closed out in the 9th. Mets get I don't know. It's kind of a meaningless win at this point in the season. Kodai Senga just continues to pitch well, though. He's been nice for them this year. Senga's been a good pitcher. He strikes a lot of guys out, too. That ghost forkball that he throws. So there's a lot to do on these ships. Yoga, cycling. There's a track on the ship. Most of all, I'm just worried that I'm going to eat myself into a coma. That's what I'm worried about. I'm worried I'm going to leave here tonight at like 230 pounds. And when I get back here on August 8th, I'm going to be like 250. Yeah. No, I did not tell him about the scavenger hunt. I didn't tell him about the scavenger hunt. The thing is, there's so many things to do on this cruise. I didn't realize. We just don't. There's no need. I mean, there's literally something every minute. There's game. Like I said, they have a cruise ship version of Deal or No Deal, where you can like win anywhere from $1 to $1,000. I mean, there's so many things to do on this ship, and there's a dessert bar like all over the place, so I can just go get dessert anytime. I wake up at 9 o'clock in the morning and I feel like dessert. I could eat it. Oh man, what's your favorite dessert? Oh boy. Southern boy. I need my peach cobbler. That's great. That's great. Not my thing, but I don't mind an apple pie with some vanilla ice cream on it, though. Could do that. No, you can't go wrong with that. This is crazy. There's nothing left on for sports tonight. That's it. We're done. We're just close it up now. Pack it in. There's no more sports on tonight. Now, maybe there's some WNBA if I really want to sink my teeth into something. So that's it. Now we just sit here and wait to see what happens at the trade deadline, which, by the way, MLBTradeRumors.com, a terrific site to go to. This is the time of the year where MLBTradeRumors.com really, earns whatever revenue it brings in, because it has everything covered from top to bottom as it relates to the trade deadline. And how about this headline? The Dodgers have talked about Nolan Arenado with the Cardinals. Now, it should be mentioned, Jorge Castillo of the LA Times reporting on it. Arenado has a no-trade clause, full no-trade clause. But he's a Southern California guy, and reportedly is willing to waive that right only if it means going to the Dodgers. So it's a one-team trade list. It's the Dodgers. I just wonder how many more prospects could the Dodgers have left in their organization to go and deal for a guy like Arenado? What are you giving up to get Nolan Arenado? Dodgers with a 3-game lead in the AL West. Scary scene for the Bengals today at training camp. We'll tell you about it next. Well, it's the best time of the year, right? Start of football season, training camps, guys hitting each other. But it also means the inevitable. Every year, you're going to hear about guys getting hurt. Training camp guys getting hurt. And this is why, if you're a free agent who doesn't sign during the offseason and you wait around, you're a Dalvin Cook. DeAndre Hopkins decided to sign, but I mean, if you're a Dalvin Cook type, if you're some of these players that decide to wait it out, and you can find yourself a job because guys are going to get hurt during training camp. Now, this is a precautionary thing, and I don't think we know how serious it is yet. But the Bengals today had a scare for sure when Joe Burrow was carted off the field. I mean, this is a team that's, expected to contend for a Super Bowl this year. And Zach Taylor, instead, after practice today, was answering questions about the status of his star quarterback, who it feels like every year, by the way, winds up with some injury before the season starts. And this year, he was talking about the fact, just a couple of days ago, he was talking about the fact that, knock on wood, he said, he was feeling great, as healthy as he'd been. And I'm just watching the play that he hurt himself on today. Takes the ball, rolls to his right, and pulls up. Non-contact injury. Now, again, they're calling it a calf injury. And I think I don't think they'd be calling something a calf injury if they didn't think it was, if they thought it was something more, because, the news is going to come out one way or another here in the next day or so. And he had a sleeve on the calf, which is also very interesting. A year ago, almost to the day, that Joe Burrow had an appendectomy. So here's Joe Burrow's head coach, Zach Taylor, after practice today, talking about the calf injury for his quarterback.
And what happened?
Just saw his calf. It was 10 minutes ago, so we don't have any more information on that. No, he did it today. Yeah, so we'll get more information on that as we go.
Was there any issue before coming into today for him to wear that?
I mean, I think a lot of guys after the first day had some soreness, and that's it. But I know for the course of practice,
I know this is so fresh, but he's been talking a lot about how much he's looking forward to going to camp. What's your message going to be to him?
Well, we don't have any information yet, so I'm not going to have any message ready until we get more info.
So we don't want to talk about it. These teams try to keep this stuff a secret as long as possible. I mean, that's what you always get from coaches when there's injuries of all different kinds. But as soon as we get anything on Joe Burrow, we'll let you know. I always say the most underrated position in all of sports is backup quarterback. I mean, how many teams have guys that start? They're calling it a calf strain right now. But how many teams have guys that at quarterback that start every game? QB starts in 2022 NFL. Let's see. How many guys start? I wonder how many guys started every game last year. I bet you not that many. And when you're talking about a margin of error as fine as it is in the NFL, even in the worst teams, and we did this exercise last year. It was stunning to see how many games some teams lost that were less than one score, 8 points or less, basically. We did this last year on the show. And teams that you would think, that have terrible records, who lose like 8 or 9 games by, such a small margin. And they're that close to being a good team. That's why, even in baseball all the time, when you get these teams, they've won, X number of games in their last at bat. Like the Mariners last year were one of those magical teams. Comeback wins and wins in their last at bat. That never goes the same year to year. That always flips back the other way. The law of averages will prevail. The same thing happens in the NFL. That's why I'm always skeptical of teams. Well, in one-score games, they're 7-1. Well, next year they might be 1-7. You're just talking about the bounce of a ball. Know what I mean? So to me, it's kind of interesting. Very few. So here it is. Quarterbacks that started all 17 games in 2022. Here we go. Tom Brady started all 17. Aaron Rodgers started all 17. He shouldn't have because he was hurt. They would have been better off. Geno Smith started all 17. Jared Goff, Trevor Lawrence, Kirk Cousins started all their games. 6 more quarterbacks started weeks 1 and 18, but missed games in between, including Dak Prescott, Russell Wilson, Davis Mills, Mac Jones, Jalen Hurts, Joe Flacco. Baker Mayfield started week 1 with one team, started week 18 with a different one. I mean, let's just say it. 6 or 7 guys started every game last year, which means you have to do your homework as a GM. And it blows my mind every year. How many teams start? Remember Skylar Thompson starting games for the Dolphins last year? I mean, good golly, Miss Molly. There are a few guys that looked less equipped to start at quarterback. A guy named Bailey Zapp was starting games. Now, granted, that was their third-string quarterback for the Patriots. So, it's kind of understandable that when you get to your third string, you're just praying. You're taking up religion at that point. But go look at a team. If you've got a team with a mobile quarterback, I put that in air quotes, that runs around and makes plays, right? If you've got a team with a mobile quarterback that's got to make plays with his legs, it is incumbent upon you. It is the height of irresponsible to not have a certifiably capable backup quarterback. Yet so few teams do. I mean, the Giants had Tyrod Taylor, I think, last year was backing up Daniel Jones. I mean, he can work in a pinch for a game. Look at who the Chiefs had. And in the playoffs, they had to use him last year. And I think he retired after the end of the season. What the hell was his name? Oh, man, it's going to drive me bonkers. Chad Henne. That's who it was. Chad Henne was backing up. And he drove the team like 90 yards for a score in the playoffs. In the one time he had to pop in when Patrick Mahomes hurt himself. And then he came back and played in the second half. Anthony Brown. Tyler Huntley. I don't think Huntley's that bad. I think Huntley could be a good filling guy. Cleveland waiting for Deshaun Watson last year had who was the quarterback that used to play for the Patriots? He's the backup. And he played for the Colts. Yeah. I can't think of his name. If I get to Cleveland, I'll find it. It was, let's see, Jacoby Brissett, another guy. Capable. You're not going to get hurt with Jacoby Brissett as your backup. Cooper Rush with the Cowboys last year. There were some people that wanted him to start for the Cowboys. By the way, Cowboy fans listening on 97.1, The Freak in Dallas. We'll get to you coming up after the top of the hour here. Because Dak is talking, and I wish he wouldn't. Just shut up. Shut up. Don't tell me, show me. Ugh. Drives me bonkers. Sean Payton, shut up. Dak Prescott, shut up. All of y'all, just do it on the field. But there's a lot of teams that desperately need starting backup quarterbacks. Oh, the Colts last year, Sam Ehlinger, Nick Foles. Final hour before vacation. It's next. Let's do that. Let's use that segment in the podcast. All right. All right, let's do it. Final hour. Really, I just got to get through 30 minutes. That's the way I look at it. Thursday / whatever day of the show. Because it doesn't really matter in another hour, folks. Doesn't really matter. This guy is taking off. Hour from now, when I say bye, when I say it, I will mean it. Gone fishing. Matter of fact, I should leave the camera on. I should leave the camera on in our studio and just put up a sign behind me that says "Gone fishing." That's it. I was thinking about live streaming the drive up to Seattle from Palm Springs. 18-hour drive. 18 hours. I do. And plus, I mean, you got to remember, there's two of us. And if we both get tired, we'll just put the dog behind the wheel and, say our prayers that we make it. I have to. I can't drive all. Here's the thing. We have 24 hours. I mean, look, the cruise leaves. We board the cruise on Saturday at 1 p.m. So theoretically, we've got about 36 hours, 37 hours to get to Seattle. Our hope was to get there in 24. It's 18 hours of driving time, right? It's 18 hours of actual driving time. And we were going to leave ourselves about 24 hours. So we're leaving after the show. And the hope was to get there by Friday night so that we could have a normal night of sleep on Saturday, see our friend Derek up in Seattle, get the dog acclimated to staying there because we're leaving the dog with him for the week, and then hop on the cruise. We're in the late boarding because they have different shifts that you can board, and I didn't know this. So I went to go say, "Whoa, what time are you getting on the ship?" And when I went to go get on at like 11 a.m., it was like, that boarding time slot is full. 11:30, that boarding time slot is full. Noon, that boarding time slot, all the way up until 1 p.m. So I can't board the ship until 1 p.m. It's a lot different from boarding a plane. Group one, group two. Man, let me tell you something. I'm so glad you mentioned this. Nothing brings out the worst in humanity than boarding an airplane. Can we agree on this, America? There is nothing worse in this world, unless you're in group one, unless you're a former military veteran, or you're first class, or you're boarding with a child, or you're in a wheelchair. Other than that, it is the worst thing in the world because we're boarding group one. You're standing next to people in group 4 who are just waiting to get to the front of the line when group 4 gets called. So they're clogging up the area. You can't get into line because you don't know who's in what group. They're faking like they belong. You got people trying to cheat. I see them get up to the front. Oh, sir, this is group 1. You're group 3. You got to go back. Stop. People are the worst, man. Airport people, airport humanity, just the worst. Brings out the absolute worst in people. Nothing brings out the Incredible Hulk. The only thing missing for me at an airport is turning green and becoming Hulk. Like, I lose it in airports. Like, I'll start muttering to myself. I'll start yelling at people. Oh, just the worst. So it looked like Ohtani pulled something on that second home run. They showed him grabbing his rib cage after he hit that home run. But they're saying it was cramping. It was cramping. Midol for cramps. Just saying. What? Oh, my God. yeah. Well, you took, T-Rex Air and you expected a good experience. My husband and I like to live vicariously through others. We watch these videos. If you ever want to feel really bad about your life, if you ever want to feel terrible about your life, go on YouTube and watch people who do reviews of first class, business class, premium economy on international flights. Charles, do me a favor. I'm not back till August 8th. Promise me you will do this. Go and watch The Points Guy. It's a YouTube channel. It's called The Points Guy. And go and watch their review of Emirates, which is one of the best international airlines you could fly. Go watch their review of Emirates, premium economy, business class, first class. I swear it will inspire you to want to do more with your life. No, it will inspire you to want to make FU money so that you can enjoy this kind of thing. Yes. Everybody, don't let anybody fool you. Everybody wants to do FU things. Everybody, we get mad when we see people do FU things, but it's the old thing. They hate us because they ain't us. People hate people who do that because they can't do it. But I guarantee you, if I said to those people who are hating on somebody in first class or business class, hey, I just got you a free upgrade into business class or first class, they'd run to the front of the plane. I don't know if I would have done that submarine thing. Now, if you told me I had a choice between the submarine or getting on like a Virgin Air thing that goes into outer space, or if you told me I can go stay on this space hotel that's going to be opened in, I think, 2025 or 2026, there's a space hotel that's going to be, I'd do that. Oh, hell yeah. Oh, outer space is my dream. Outer space is my dream, dude. If they took normal Joes and said you can go to outer space, I would be the first one going. Yes, absolutely. Because you know what? If I'm going to die somewhere, let me die in outer space. I don't want to die. No, I don't want to die underwater where my lungs fill up with water and explode, which is arguably the worst way to die. Yes, but dying in outer space, you just float away. I'm cool with that. Run out of oxygen, you go to sleep. That's it. You just go to sleep. Run out of air, you just go to sleep. When your submarine explodes underwater, that is not a way to go. Well, then again, they said they didn't even feel it. It would have happened so fast. It would have been instant death. But let me go sit on the space station for 6 months. I'd do it in a heartbeat. Tell me I can go sit on the space station for 3 days. It's a good question. If I just list a bunch of FU activities, which one would you choose? Yeah. I think most people would choose outer space, especially now that we know we're not alone. Like this whole alien thing this week, which I haven't talked about on the show, but I have a fascination. I wouldn't say I'm like Art Bell crazy, doing a show from an underground bunker. I wouldn't say I'm Art Bell crazy, but I will tell you, I have always had a fascination with the fact that we're not alone here. No, I don't think it's tinfoil. I mean, it's common sense. How ignorant, how selfish, how conceited would we have to be to think, yeah, the people on this planet, the ones who think, dinosaurs didn't roam the earth and, we're the only ones. Like we're there's no such thing as evolution. Yeah, we're the only ones. That we're the only ones and think about the expansive universe. Yeah, we're the only ones. You sitting in your mom's basement tweeting things, mean tweets about Sean Payton or, Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, you're the only one. There's nothing else out there. I mean, come on. How idiotic is that? Say it out loud. Of course there's other life out there. I'm 100%. Well, you can't be 100% sure about anything. There are no absolutes. Except death. And I don't even know if that's absolute because I think, there is something after all of this. But 99.9% sure there's other life out there. Area 54, all of that stuff. You don't think that's real? Charles, you don't believe there's like, other life that's come and visited and all that stuff? Really? Come on! You've got Air Force pilots testifying to seeing these things. I mean, it's real, dude. We are not alone. So enjoy every day because, Will Smith and Independence Day. I mean, they can come and take us out anytime they want. We're coming back. Yeah, if you gave me the choice of anything with FU money, I'd go to outer space in a heartbeat. Why? Oh, dude, the alien stuff is real, though. That's very real. Yeah. Yeah. Man, did you see the reaction of William Shatner after he came back from that trip? He did the trip to outer space. I mean, he was practically in tears because what you see from up there, it makes you appreciate, just how precious this earth is. Oh, we got a trade. We've got trade news. Yep. Mets are officially in sell mode. We want letters. We've got letters. We got lots and lots of letters. Letters. The Mets have traded David Robertson, relief pitcher. It's one of the top relievers on the market. The Marlins. 2 prospects. 2 rookie ball prospects, though. So, I mean, they're real early. Marco Vargas and Ronald Hernandez. Let's see. Marlins prospects. Let's see. Marlins prospects. They got a great GM, so I wouldn't be shocked if they get it going in the right direction. One of the prospects the Mets got from the Marlins is the 18th ranked. The other is number 21. One is 18, the other is 19. So long-term projects you're talking about. That's great. Good to have you with us tonight. I just watched Miles Mikolas throw 2 pitches intentionally at a Cubs player, and he gets thrown out of a game. And he's like, I wasn't throwing it. I mean, it looked like he practically aimed to hit the guy. I mean, come on already. Oh, man. We got a trade in Major League Baseball. Fire up the breaking news. Da, 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 da. One of the top relievers in the free agent in the trade market has been dealt. David Robertson is gone from the Mets, and we now officially know the Mets are in sell mode. They are parting ways with David Robertson. He goes to the Marlins. In exchange, the Mets get back 2 prospects. Very young prospects, 18-year-old Marco Vargas, who is the 18th ranked prospect in the Marlins organization, and Ronald Hernandez, a catcher who is 19 years old, who is the 21st ranked prospect in the organization. So projects, long-term projects in exchange for David Robertson. Marcos Vargas this year in rookie ball hit .283 with 2 home runs and 19 RBIs. The 21st ranked prospect, Ronald Hernandez, in rookie ball this year hit .298, 3 home runs, 25 RBIs. So not bad. But these are kids. And David Robertson is obviously a great arm out of the bullpen. And you know what else it tells you? And I love it. The Marlins are, I'm not going to say it's not trading for Nolan Arenado or Lucas Giolito or somebody like that. But the Marlins are trying to win this wild card. I love it. Kim Ng. NG? Kim Ng? I always screw these names up. I really do. I love her, though. She's somebody I could ultimately see. If things go bad for the Yankees and Brian Cashman winds up going, I could see the Yankees trying to get Kim Ng. Although Yankee fans want the Yankees to bring back everybody from the late 90s teams. Andy Pettitte just got brought on as an advisor. Everybody wants the Yankees to get Don Mattingly, bring in Derek Jeter to be the GM. It's just silly. It's absolutely silly. Coming up in 12 minutes, our 2 for 1. We got 2 guests for you tonight in the 2 for 1. I'll be joined by Barry Bloom, MLB writer with Sportico, Forbes, Bloomberg, MLB. He is a Hall of Fame voter, longtime Major League Baseball writer. I love him. It's the first time we've had a chance to get him on the show since we started the Cash In, and I'm looking forward to talking with him. We'll get into it with him on the trade deadline, a whole bunch of other things. Barry Bloom joins us coming up 12 minutes from now. Then we'll talk our usual NASCAR with our friend Jerry Bonkowski, who does a terrific job with NASCAR.com, Auto Week, among other places. So Jerry Bonkowski will join us as well. So a whole bunch of things to still get to. Getting text messages before we say goodbye. Richard in Austin, Texas, listening to the show on the Horn, says, have a good cruise. Thank you, Richard. I appreciate that. David, listening in Austin, Texas, fellow P1 with our friend Dave in Connecticut. Dave in Austin, Texas, listening on 104.9 The Horn, is telling me also to have a good cruise. So appreciate that, David. I don't know. What would be yours? Do like there's FU activities, and there's like FU things you'd want to buy. And for me, it's either like a stupid, it would probably be a yacht. If I could do, I think if I won Lotto tomorrow, I'd probably move to the beach, like LA, like OC, Like move out there and I'd buy a yacht. Because during the zombie apocalypse or the alien invasion, you're going to want a boat. You're gonna want a boat. Well, the water might be the one place you could escape it. You know. So I'll take a boat. Yeah, but it's got to be like it's got to be like a Jerry Jones yacht. You know. Yeah. I want to do like a Jerry Jones yacht. Speaking of Dallas, our friends listening on 97.1, The Freak. I don't know why guys do this. Why they say things that just up the ante in terms of the pressure that they're putting on themselves for an upcoming season. Like if you're Dak Prescott and you have the kind of year you had last year where it felt like you threw more balls to the other team than you did your own guys, if you're that guy who tied for the league lead in interceptions, despite the fact that he missed 5 games, I mean, think about that. Dak Prescott, 15 interceptions, tied for the league lead, and he missed 5 games. So that means in 12 games, he threw 15 interceptions. If you work that out to a 17-game season, he would have probably thrown, 22, 23 interceptions. I mean, that's really bad for a veteran quarterback in the league. Well, Dak Prescott decided to put the old guarantee out there for 2023 when he met with the media on Thursday for the first time. Yeah, Dak did it. Dak Prescott meeting with the media today, talking about his interception total last year and making guarantees that if he doesn't keep up, he may not be the starting quarterback next year. As a matter of fact, I wonder if they'd consider pulling Dak Prescott. If it gets really bad during the season, I wonder if they'd take him out of games. If they'd go and start Cooper Rush. It makes you wonder if they would consider something like that. Dak Prescott meeting with the media today and talking about interception totals said, quote, "I'm going to lessen my interception numbers. That is a guarantee." Now, he threw 15 last year. So, I mean, if he throws 14 this year, that's still a crappy year. There's nowhere to go but up when you led the league in interceptions, right? Kind of the feeling I have. I'm not going to stop being aggressive, Prescott said. And you know what? I don't have a problem with that. No. I don't have a problem with that. Because I think that's a position where you have to be aggressive. That's a position you cannot play with fear or trepidation. You get eaten alive. You think about the greatest quarterbacks that have played the game. Think about any really good, consistent quarterback that plays the game. They don't play the game with fear. They're not scared. We're trying to gain chemistry here, and we're trying to be aggressive, Prescott said. That's who our coach is, and that's who I am. That's the confidence I've gained in myself, and I've worked so hard to be able to have this confidence and make the throws that I'm making. That's just 2, right? If it continues, then yeah, come back to me, and it might change my mood a little bit. So, we'll see. And you know what? Some people have been quick to point this out, and they're right. Brett Favre threw a league-high 29 interceptions in 2005. The next year, he threw 19 in McCarthy's first year as the head coach of the Packers. Aaron Rodgers, double-digit interceptions just twice in his time with Mike McCarthy. So you know what? A guy's allowed to have a down season. Maybe last year was just an anomaly. Maybe it was trying to press after coming back from the injury. Who knows? I think Dak Prescott's a really good quarterback. I don't know if you're winning a Super Bowl with him yet because I've never really seen him do all that much in the postseason, so I can't tell you. All right, 2-for-1 time on the show. We'll hear from Barry Bloom, who covers Major League Baseball on the other side, get some thoughts with him. Then we'll do some NASCAR with Jerry Bonkowski. Come on back with us. Thursday/Friday edition of The Cash In. Alongside producer engineer Charles Carter on SportsMap Radio. I got to say, usually shows on a Friday or shows before a vacation are incredibly difficult. This was one of the easiest ones I've had. Like, really was. Yeah. And thank you. You were a big part of the reason why, sir. Yep, it's true. I feel validated in my thanks for riding shotgun with me tonight. Get more SportsMap Radio, SportsMap Radio app. All of our video platforms where you can see us as well. If you look on the screen on the left-hand side, you'll see the name. Stocks crash real fast. Of Barry Bloom, who joins us now. MLB writer, Sportico, Forbes, Bloomberg, you name it. He's done them all. Does a terrific job. He's a Hall of Fame voter as well. Can't let you get too excited. Riding shotgun with me tonight. Thanks for riding shotgun with me tonight. SportsMap Radio, SportsMap Radio app. All of our video platforms where you can see us as well. If you look on the screen on the left-hand side, you'll see the name and picture. Radio app. All of our video platforms where you can see us as well. If you look on the screen on the left-hand Thanks for riding shotgun with me. Thanks for riding shotgun with me tonight. SportsMap Radio, SportsMap Radio app. All of our video platforms where you can see us as well. If you look on the screen on the left-hand side, you'll see the name and picture of Barry Bloom, who joins us now. MLB writer, Sportico, Forbes, Bloomberg, you name it. He's done them all. Does a terrific job. He's a Hall of Fame voter as well. Joins us on the Cash In tonight on SportsMap Radio and the SportsMap Radio app on the eve of the Major League Baseball trade deadline. On a scale of 1 to 10, Barry, how surprised were you by the Angels' decision to hang on to Ohtani?
Not very surprised at all. I mean, I wrote a piece about this at the All-Star game a couple of weeks ago. I said he was not going to be traded. I mean, there's no purpose in trading him. I mean, they stand to make too much money on him the rest of the year, whether or not they make the playoffs, and they still have a chance of making the playoffs. But in September, if he's going after Judge's home run record, you know, the Angels were drawing 32,000 people a game at the time in a 41,000-seat ballpark. You know, if they sell out every day while Ohtani's going for that record, like Judge did last year at Yankee Stadium at the end of September, you know, that it was $40 million the Yankees made on 8 home games last September. After the race was over, they were done. The teams they were playing were Pittsburgh, Baltimore, and the Red Sox, who were all pretty much out of it. But still 40,000 people came to see Judge with all the accompanying jersey sales, concession sales, you name it. So there's no purpose in trading Ohtani. I mean, you might as well, for the handful of top prospects you might get, you might as well just take the draft pick if he actually does leave the team.
Where else do you expect them to go here before the trade deadline? I love the move for Giolito. He's a guy that's on the West Coast. I think they have a chance to probably re-sign him, considering he is a California kid and not far from where he grew up. I've had him on the show before. You know, he would love to play someday with Jack Flaherty if he could. Give me some idea as to where else they go to try to improve this team now that they're all in on trying to make the postseason this year.
You know, I think obviously it's the same thing as almost everybody else. More bullpen. They could use, a bat. You know, they got somebody to replace Rendon at third base already. I think at this point it's just substantiating and seeing what you can do to make the wild card. And then, like last year, when the Phillies and the Padres came in to the wild card and they were god awful. They wound up getting on a hot streak. Padres beat the Mets, Phillies beat the Cardinals, then the Braves, then the Padres beat the Dodgers. You just can move on. There's no real sense to how the playoffs will fall out at this point. So, just whatever they can do to make the playoffs. Plus, remember, in September, they're going to have Trout back too. So, just that addition is going to make a big deal for them.
Yeah, it certainly is. Before we started the conversation, you said you're in San Diego, and Juan Soto may not be there much longer. It sounds like the Padres are willing to listen to offers on him. How seriously do you think they are considering, making a move here?
Yeah, well, I'm actually here for my old friend John Moores is being inducted into the Padres Hall of Fame tomorrow night with Jake Peavy. John was the owner here who really was responsible for building Petco Park. I think the Padres have got themselves into a dilemma basically because of their television contract. They lost the $60 million a year television contract when Bally pulled out, so to speak. And then, now they really can't afford these guys, a lot of these guys anymore. They're in it for long term with Tatis and Machado and Musgrove and Darvish, Cronenworth. You can go down the list. Soto is 1 year arbitration eligible. It'll be upwards of $35 million next year if they keep him. They can't afford that. Cater and Snell are going to be free agents. I don't believe they're going to sign either of those two guys. So I think those three guys all get traded by the by the deadline, just because they've got to make some dent on what they're doing with their budget at this point.
The Mets, similar situation, huge payroll. We've never seen teams with these massive payrolls that basically were locks to not make the postseason. Usually they all at least get there some way or another. Now you're seeing it with the Mets as well. I mean, other than Verlander, of the guys that, are on this roster, maybe an Alonso, is there anybody that isn't possibly traded from the Mets?
There's a big difference between the Padres and the Mets. Peter Seidler is a nice little billionaire at $3 billion. His number two guy, Helu, is a Mexican owner of the Rojos, who sunk a lot of money into that team and is getting equity in return. He's worth $2.5 million. Steve Cohn's worth $15 billion. He can do whatever the hell he wants. So, and the situation is that he doesn't have to get rid of anybody. A month ago, about a week before the All-Star break, maybe a little later, sooner than that, he held a press conference and he said it cost him a lot of money to get this pitching staff together, because when they looked at the organization, he was shocked at the fact that the minor league system was so bereft of pitching.
Yeah, it's depleted.
Right. So that cost him a lot of money, and I don't think he's going to divest himself of any of that pitching. When you look at the staff they've got, when they're all healthy, you've got Scherzer, you've got Verlander, you've got Peterson, you've got Senga, who I think is a terrific pitcher from what I've seen of him. They've got five guys. And really this all started to roll this year for them, when they lost, their closer during the World Baseball Classic in a celebration. Look at where, if you turn the Padres around, what we were talking about earlier, the Mets, this started September 1st of last year, this downturn. They were leading Atlanta by 9 or 10 games. They wound up losing the division. Then they went in at home against the Padres and lost the 3-game series at home. And then Diaz got hurt in the World Baseball Classic, and Alonso got hit in the hand, and they've never been the same, really. I don't see them parting with much of anybody. They already have traded Escobar to the Angels. I think that, they hold serve and just say, this year was a complete anomaly. We invested in this. We invested $350 million. We're not going to buy, certainly not going to buy, and we're not going to sell either. So I really don't expect the Mets to do anything.
Are Buck and Epler at risk, you think?
Oh, yeah, sure. Of course, Buck and Epler, even though Cohn said they weren't. Really, when you're putting together an organization and you rely on two people to do your baseball ops, number one, Cohn said he was hiring a president of baseball operations over Epler. He has to figure out who that person will be yet. That there's been some speculation about it. Probably that's all wrong, but he said Epler knows that there's going to be a layer above him at some point. Whether Epler then goes by the wayside under new structured baseball operations, I would think that's probably going to happen. And Buck, look, I love Buck personally, but he has had a history of this, not getting teams over the top. The Yankees got rid of him, and Torrey took them to the World Championship. Diamondbacks got rid of him, and Brenly took him to the World Championship. He wound up in Baltimore, doing nothing in Texas. Baltimore was a competitive team until him and Dan Duquette started warring with each other. By the end of their time together, they didn't even talk to each other. And then when this whole thing was set up, I'm looking at, okay, you've got Cohn, you still have Alderson, you have Epler, you have their baseball ops, and Buck is coming back, and he's a micromanager.
Yep.
He micromanages everything. And so it's like, I thought, how long is this going to last before it's going to blow up in their face?
Yeah.
And, he's just not a finisher. And it goes back to the playoffs last year. The days that Buck would like to distract, the one who does, and, the press conference for game 6. I'm sorry, game 3.
Yeah. I got to Barry. Got to close things out with Barry. Sorry, we were up against the clock, but Barry Bloom does a great job. Sportico, check out his MLB work there. Jerry Bonkowski talks NASCAR next. Even with a quick rejoin, didn't matter. Yeah. Thanks for riding shotgun with me tonight. I'll do Jerry. Thanks for being with us on this Thursday edition of the show. It feels like a Friday, though. One, it's our last show of the week. And two, we're talking NASCAR, which we normally do on Friday. With our friend Jerry Bonkowski, who joins us on the show tonight. Does a terrific job with all things auto racing for NASCAR.com, Auto Week, and AutoRacingDigest.com. And Jerry, I'll talk to you the week after. Be well, my friend.
Sounds good. Have a great vacation. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, sir. Jerry. All right, perfect. Quick rejoin here, too. This one will have time on the back end. Thanks for being with us on this Thursday edition. All right. Thanks for being with us on this Thursday edition of the show. Feels like a Friday, though. One, it's our last show of the week. And two, we're talking NASCAR, which we normally do on Friday with our friend Jerry Bonkowski, who joins us on the show tonight. Does a terrific job with all things auto racing for NASCAR.com, Auto Week, and AutoRacingDigest.com. And Jerry Bonkowski is here with us. So we've got just and look, time's running out here. We keep talking every week on this show. I ask the same question about whether or not Chase Elliott's going to make the postseason here, and it doesn't look like it right now.
I'm starting to worry. I mean, I've been a pretty optimistic guy about this.
You have.
We're talking about, and I'm starting to have my doubts about this. And if he doesn't make it, yes, it'll be bad for NASCAR, but remember this, too. What was it, 2012, if I remember correctly? Tony Stewart had just won the championship in 2011. I have my right, if I remember correctly. And he failed to make the playoffs in 2012. And same thing with Jeff Gordon in... I want to say it was 2014, I think it was. He made the playoffs in 2013, and he failed to make the playoffs in 2014. So while it's a rarity, it has been done. There has happened where named drivers have not made the playoffs when you would think for sure they would. So Chase still has a couple more weeks left. Richmond this weekend, pretty darn good place for him. I'm not going to give up on him, but I'm starting to look at other candidates too as well.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Talk about last week's race, just to kind of put a bow on it, and what we saw from Denny Hamlin.
Well, it was a very controversial finish, obviously, the way he pushed Kyle Larson out of the way. And, there was so much criticism about that, but let's face it, the same thing that Dale Earnhardt Sr. used to do all the time.
Forever! He did this forever!
Exactly. So we're in a different kind of group fans these days who maybe were not around were fans back in the day when Earnhardt was. So, a lot of the old-time fans, they would think this was usual. The new fans, they're going to kind of, whine and cry, that kind of thing. So, it is what it is. Hamlin wins 50th, career win. You got to give him a lot of credit. He's one of the better drivers we've ever seen in the sport. And, I wouldn't be surprised if everything goes his way, maybe, just maybe, finally, after what's it been, 15 years or whatever it's been, Denny Hamlin will finally get that loose championship that he's chasing for so long and still has not gotten.
Can you put a finger to go back to Chase Elliott for a second? Now, there's been enough racing this season. Obviously, the injury notwithstanding where he missed some time. Can you put your finger on any one thing in particular that sort of held him back this year? Or is it just one of those things where you look at and say it's one of those years?
No, it's not like he's forgot how to win. Not how he's forgot how to pass. It's not like he's forgot how to qualify well. It's just, when you miss 6 races in the whole big scheme of things, that's a sixth of your entire season, but it's also just over a fourth of the regular season, the first 26 races. That's a lot of racing to miss. And if you're that far behind the 8 ball, because of those missed races, you've got so much more to try to accomplish in a much shorter period of time. If you have 36 races to accomplish it, okay, you have a better chance. You only have 26 races to do it, and if you miss 6, you're going to lose 20 races, and you're so far behind the 8 ball already with missing those 6 races, especially in the earlier part of the season, that it is going to be it's been a very difficult thing for him to try to overcome and achieve. So I really wonder what is going to happen with him. I still don't think I'm not going to put hope on him, but with each passing race, the chances of him making the playoffs are not looking very good. Now, of course, NASCAR, and I would hate to see this happen, but it's not without precedent. NASCAR could say, well, we're going to give him away. We're going to give him away. We did Kyle Busch in what was 2018 when he missed 11 races, but of course he also won a race to get in the playoffs. So that was kind of a redundant thing that he made the playoffs no matter what. I still think that Chase could get a waiver from NASCAR, but if he does, he leave a lot of not only fans but a lot of fellow drivers teams very upset, especially if he takes spot away from another driver or they increase the field to 17 drivers in the playoffs rather than 16.
Yeah, and I mean, when it's something is, when you talk about potentially giving them this waiver, it's sort of subjective, isn't it? It's not like there's a hard and fast criteria, which means, when you get a bunch of people in a room deciding something, it's almost like when we get into college football, and there's a bunch of people in a room deciding, who's 1, who's 2, who's 3 in the college football, bowl playoff standings or something like that. There's always going to be people that are upset. Who are the voices in that room, and does it give you an inclination one way or the other as to whether or not they would grant him that waiver?
Well, here's the way I look at it, Jason. I mean, this is Chase Elliott, former champion, most popular driver going right now in NASCAR. I see the logic to make him to grant him a waiver because he means so much to the sport. A lot of fans want him in the championship, in the playoffs. But on the flip side, what if he wins the championship this year? And he wins it without even winning a race, period. Now, think about that for a minute, too. So, if I'm NASCAR, I'm going to meet and decide whether or not we're going to grant him a waiver. There's a lot to be considered here because yes, it's good for NASCAR to have one big stars they have in the playoffs. Yes, good to see him potentially winning a championship. But are you opening up the door for more problems by granting him a waiver and then he turns around and wins it like Kyle Busch did in 2015? And remember, when Busch won that championship, there was a lot of criticism about that. Winning the championship. So we can very easily see a lot of the same similar thing happening with Chase Elliott. But I think that again, the best way for him to overcome the entire thing, win a race, we're done. Then good. Let's go. Let's move on.
He's a 14-1 long shot in the latest odds for Richmond. And it's stunning to see him there.
Well, yeah, but he's a track guy. He is. I mean, if there is a place for him to win, this place.
You said that the last couple of years.
I know. I get that. I'm totally going to admit it. But this is a with 3/4 mile racetrack. He's done very well there in the past. This is the kind of track that grew up on, kind of grip on. So I am not surprised to see him win, but he's got to do something to get from point A to point B without failing winning 10th or 20th. He's got to go essentially all out to win things, and maybe that's been why he's not won now. Maybe he has gone all out. Maybe there's something mentally behind. I don't know. I'm trying to speculate here, but again, the Chase Elliott. I think he can win at Richmond, and hopefully he will. We won't talk about it anymore.
Before I ask you for a winner, Martin Truex Jr. is the favorite in the outright betting right now at 4-1. What makes him such a popular pick at this track?
Again, very well short track. But I'll tell you, the guy that I'm kind of looking for, and you guys probably hate me when I say this name because I normally don't pick him, but I'm going to pick him for this one because he's done so well. From that area is Denny Hamlin. I think Hamlin's the guy the man to beat one. But again, if Chase Elliott gets there, Martin Truex Jr. gets there, you got Kyle Larson, good short driver. So the typical powers that be, if you will, guys do very well short track are probably going to do very well straight. But I still think that Denny Hamlin's done very well over the years at Richmond home track. He's got all the fans, friends, and family coming out. So I think that if anybody else is going to beat Denny Hamlin, they're going to have to work well for them. I mean, it's Truex do well, Larson do well, Elliott do well, but I think Denny Hamlin's race will win or in case to lose.
Larson is 6-1, Hamlin 6-1, Christopher Bell 7-1, William Byron 8-1, and then Harvick at 9-1. Jerry Bonkowski, check out his work. It is everywhere. You can't miss it. NASCAR.com, Auto Week, AutoRacingDigest.com. Jerry, enjoy the racing this week. I won't talk to you next week. I'll be on a cruise ship somewhere in the Pacific. I'll talk to you the week after. Be well, my friend.
Sounds good. Have a great vacation. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, sir. Jerry. Love Jerry. Glad we were able to get him on before we say goodbye. Last but not least.
Last call.
Yep.
Last call.
I heard you the first time. Last call? It's right behind me if you're looking on the video feed of the show. We're on vacation. We'll see you back here in about 10 days on August the 8th. VSiN programming in my place for the next week or so. Charles Carter, I'll talk to you soon, my friend. I'm Jason Page. That's the cash-in until August 8th on SportsMap Radio. Bye! Hey, my man, thank you. Absolutely. I'll be in touch. Thanks. All right, bye-bye. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Hold on. Disconnect this. Does it for us on the video side as well. Everybody, enjoy the next 10 days. I know I'm going to. We'll see you back here on August 8th. Keep up with me on Twitter at The Back Page. On Facebook, just look for me there. Also on Jason Page 77, I believe, on TikTok as well. Got a whole bunch of things. Jason Page 77, I think, on Threads. I don't know. We're all over the place. But it's vacation time. So hopefully we'll see you guys back here in 10 days unless we hit an iceberg on our way to Alaska. I don't know if there is icebergs on the way to Alaska. But be safe, and I'll see you all back here in about 10 days or so. Love you all, and I'll see you back here soon. Have a great night. Have a great weekend. Have a great week and a half.